Hey everyone, welcome back to You Enjoy Life. Hope you're all doing well. As you may be seeing, feet have become my latest obsession recently. And there's things in my life that are always going to be there. Food, music, connection, things that I absolutely love. It doesn't mean that I'm like over them. They're just always a piece of me. But what I find is that when I'm obsessed with something, when I'm like really putting in a ton of information to something, like just everything, like I'm seeing this thing all over the place and I'm just going deep into it, to trust that and just to go dive deep as far as I need to go. And then sometimes it lasts a week or two. Other times things become a huge part of my life. Like right now, I've been getting super deep into crypto, maybe for obvious reasons. I have been for the last few years. And then feet this last year have just totally changed my whole perspective. So first off, I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to give you medical advice. This is not what that's about. Granted, my dad and my sister are both podiatrists, which is an interesting twist to this whole thing. And we're both on very different spectrums, but they are podiatrists. So I grew up around feet, and I've definitely had some sense of relationship to them. But the truth is, most of my life, I shoved my feet in shoes and I forgot about them. So this video is really about helping you develop a deeper relationship to your feet. Because listen, this thing right here, oh, it's freaking amazing. Honestly, like your foot is a miracle. And what happens is we take things like this. I'm not ripping on this shoe in particular, but we shove our foot into this thing here, right? And then it takes away so much of the functioning of our feet. And I get a lot of crap for people saying, well, you know, I live in a city and I can step on glass and there's all these reasons. So I'm not here to say just ditch your shoes, but rather develop a relationship with your feet, because the deeper you tune into your feet, the deeper you get a sense of like what your feet actually can do and how amazing, man, I was about to say magical, how amazing and magical your feet are when you develop a relationship to them. Because I've become obsessed with feet, and I've been barefoot running for a while. I have in 10 days had my first barefoot marathon in the mountains, and I'm like kind of freaking out, but also excited about it. There's a lot that I've been learning about it, and I feel like the barefoot movement exploded when Born to Run came out. It's a great book if you haven't read it yet. And they talked about minimalist shoes and running in sandals and these special sandals and all these things. And then you have stuff like reflexology and foot massage, and there's all these different pieces to being barefoot. But I've been seeing how they can kind of all integrate, because sometimes they tend to get like forgotten about. So first off, if you don't have a relationship with your foot, you can. I've said a lot of videos like, hey, go barefoot, put your feet in the ground, just see how it feels just putting your feet in grass. And that might be something to do. But even if you don't have these options, and I recognize not everyone has the same privileges and options and abilities. Not everyone can just go run in the mountains and go hiking barefoot and stuff. Maybe you live in a city, maybe you don't have the same access, but you can still start to love on your feet. Because what happens is when we take our feet, right, and we shove them into a shoe, most shoes aren't actually designed to really help your feet, which is the unfortunate thing, because feet are amazing, and oftentimes shoes are created more out of fashion, and they have too much support, and they end up ruining the functioning of your foot. Think about your hand, right? If your hand was in a mitten all day, you lost all functioning, your hand was like squished together, your hands would look all weird. But your hands are nice and free and open, especially if you use them a lot. So for me, foot, that is a huge part. So let's scoot this down into feet land. And let's talk about what you can do as an avid foot lover. Okay, so my feet are a little bit dirty, but they're not like disgusting dirty. They just have like some stuff in the ground. So what I like to do first, and you can do this with lotion as well, and I've been learning some of this from reflexology and also just my own experience, but it's just to become aware of your feet. So first off, our toes with our oftentimes shoes, they squeeze your foot together. I see a lot of people that have shoes that, or their feet that kind of look like this, and you look at their shoes and their shoes kind of hold like that. So one of the first things that you can actually do is start to spread your toes out. And there are actually these toe spreaders that you can buy. Correcttoes.com has some. There's other pairs you can get, even the ones that for pedicure. What they do is they kind of keep your toes out like this. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just kind of stick my hands in my toes and just kind of spread them out, right? Like that, or I'll kind of go like this. Just give them a nice little spready. And I like to be aware of all the different pieces of my foot. So your foot has more bones than any other part of your body. It also has more what do you call them? My word is blanking. It has more sensors on the bottom of the foot. What's the word? You know what I'm talking about. Nerve endings, yes. So more nerve endings on the bottom of your foot than anywhere else in your body. So it's very sensitive. And when your foot's in a shoe, you lose most of the communication. So actually there's a type of skin on your foot and on your hand that's different than the rest of your body. So it just has more senses, more communication. So you're actually communicating with the ground when you're stepping on it, you know? And always be safe and smart. Don't just push yourself too hard, because your feet, you know, a lot of people go barefoot and they get really injured. I actually have a little bit of a ankle sprain because I pushed myself too hard training for this marathon. You know, it's very minor, but I'm still being aware of it. But a lot of people get badly injured when they go barefoot, because they go from a foot that's like a baby that's so vulnerable, and then they just go for running and they think they're going to be okay. You have to transition slowly. And one of the ways to do that, I think, is to really get to know the foot. So there's actually kind of a line down here, and you can see this ligament here. I think it's a ligament. I'm still learning about the foot, but basically there's muscles that run from your toes, the bottom of your foot, all the way up here, right? All the way up through the Achilles muscles, tendons. So there's this giant connection here, right? And we can just start to become aware, like, oh, look at that, right? A lot of people get plantar fasciitis. It's a really common and painful thing for runners on the bottom of their foot. So sometimes just massaging your foot. And what I like to do is I'll massage different areas. Like right here, this can be really tender. So if you notice that a certain part of your foot is particularly tender, again, either dry or with some lotion or oil, you can just kind of rub, right? And just sort of like, it doesn't have to be super hard. You don't have to be like, ugh! Just kind of like gently rub, right? And just give your foot some love. This arch right here, right? You can kind of like, you can just sort of massage that. I like to massage the pads of my feet here as well. And I have these nice calluses. But one thing you'll notice is I run in the mountains a lot, and people think that my feet are going to be really gnarly and like super callous, but they're actually pretty soft and almost like jelly-like, because as they loosen up, they get so much mobility back that when I'm running, I'm able to like, my feet can morph to the rocks and stones now. So people think that oftentimes if you're running barefoot on stones and rocks and hard dirt and stuff, that your feet are just going to be super tough, but it's actually rather, they get really like malleable and pliable. So I'm not going to explain too much about reflexology. I'm still learning, but basically the idea is that the whole body is mapped out on the foot. The bottom of the foot, the side of the foot, but you can say like, okay, right here is the neck, right? Right in this little area. And it goes kind of top down. So the top is like the head, the neck, and if you're feeling like tenderness somewhere, you can look on reflexology chart and say, okay, this is in correlation to my neck. So if I kind of massage and just sort of take care of this area, it can actually help with other parts of your body. And then same, you have like, you know, kind of in this area, well, there's like this thing, esophagus, and then you have like the liver and stomach around here. So that's just kind of an interesting concept, very big in Chinese and Eastern medicine. Your sinuses, top of your toe. And even if you don't know this stuff or believe in it or whatever, it's really not about that. It's just like giving your feet some love, especially if you have a long, hard day. Even if you do wear shoes all day, take your feet out of your shoes, clean them, especially if they smell. Here's the thing. My feet never, ever, ever smell, ever. And that's because I'm barefoot. So, I mean, they smell good, but they never smell like stinky. That's usually because you're wearing shoes and socks, which make your feet very stinky. But if your feet do stink, you know, give them a clean off, and then just rub them and massage them, and just take time to get to know what areas did like feel sore. You know, I feel a little bit of soreness right here, in this tendon. I think that's a tendon. Again, not a doctor, but this area has been a little bit sore, so I'm just kind of rubbing it and just loosening my foot. You know, you can, one nice one, you can kind of do this on yourself. And actually, I like to give foot massages now. My partner loves them. But even with yourself, you can kind of give yourself this foot massage. And if you notice areas that just need some love, and just sit with it. You know, you don't have to go crazy about it, but just kind of sit with it. Like this right here, especially, I have a little bit of swelling on my ankle from twisting it. I was doing a pretty extreme climbing the other day, and it was silly, you know, and I'm learning my limits still. But I just kind of just love on it. And I'm not going to show you my whole routine. It changes daily, but the reason I talk about this stuff is because, let's go up a little bit. I really think the foot is the anchor to the whole body. If you think about it, if these are your feet, they're in the ground. Without your feet, you know, you're not anchored to the ground. And so when we take away that and we just put it in a shoe, we miss so much of what our body can do, because the feet are absolutely incredible. So just developing a deep relationship to them will actually help your life, I think, in a lot of different ways. Anyhow, I hope this video is helpful. You can subscribe if you'd like, and take care.